Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama. Welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our podcast.
And today, believe it or not, we are covering the Cartoon Network classic, Edd N Eddy.
Now, neither of us had ever seen this series in full. Rascal was watching it when she was little, and her Nana said, "You need to watch this because I don't think you should let her watch it." And she did.
Oh.
But when it was airing and not even in reruns on Cartoon Network, we didn't get to see it. So we know that this series is a large childhood classic for millions.
Yeah.
So thanks to Tubi, thank you. We finally were able to give it a try together.
Yes.
But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notifications with future podcasts, and all the past videos.
And thank you so much for joining us today, subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting, everything you do specials. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
The standout is the theme song. Before we even go any further, it's like Batman. Doof, 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 and all they're saying is Edd N Eddy at the end.
It.
No lyrics. And it's memorable and it's fun and it's catchy. It's everything you want in a theme.
In a rare instance to hear now, it also stays the same the entire time. They updated it, they didn't change it, they didn't add new visuals, change the music. They kept exactly the same the entire series.
Why change it when it's working? And a lot of the franchises and series don't understand that. Just keep giving us what we love. And this was a constant that was loved the entire series. Even when it changed later, this opening theme was still perfect.
Yes. So we know that a lot of friends of ours had talked about Edd N Eddy. They got favorite episodes, favorite scenes, favorite specials, favorite everything. This seemed to be one of the kings of Cartoon Network back when it was out. And you can tell how much it influenced a lot of the Cartoon Network shows later, because it was pointing out how many different scenarios, jokes, and storylines end up being used in future Cartoon Network shows like Five So Imaginary Friends and so forth. So it's pretty neat seeing how even as ridiculous as a show as Edd N Eddy, it still managed to influence the rest of the network.
Yes. And we saw so many references that have been taken from this show in shows that aren't even on Cartoon Network. It was just like, wow.
Yes.
It really is an important part of Americana and pop culture. Although we keep thinking maybe they're in Australia. If you know, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, possibly.
So for those of you not familiar with Edd N Eddy, if you're out there like we were, it's a TV series created by Danny Antonucci for Cartoon Network. Of course, it revolved around three friends named Ed with one D, Ed, double D, and Eddie with a Y and double D, collectively known as the Eds. And one of the voice actors we'll get to later really surprised me because he's actually one of our favorites. They had some hilarious, unique characters in here. It's considered comedy and slapstick. It was very much more slapstick toward the end of the series.
Yes.
Two directors, Danny Antonucci and Scott Underwood. And then the theme music composer was Patrick Caird. Very good. It actually has a dual origin of being Canadian and U.S.
Okay. So that makes sense then.
Right. 6 seasons for a total of 69 episodes or 130 segments. Lots to watch. You cannot binge this. Each episode running 22 minutes. Executive producer was Danny Antonucci as well, with 3 producers, Daniel Soul, Ruth Vincent, and Christine L. Donzo, was edited by Ken Cathro. Ran originally from January 4th of 1999 to November 8th of 2009.
And everything from its comedy style to the animation to some storylines, this influenced so much. And we watched some older shows that could tell what Edd N Eddy was influenced by to create it. And it seems like the most standout thing above all is the animation, where you know they're drawn, you know they're not real, but it's supposed to make it look like they're moving and they're breathing. So it looks like they're always shaking. Either they're standing still, their lines are never just solid. Yeah, they're just always constantly moving. And it's like, you sure they're okay? So I think that's a testament to how much this stood out even back then, because really there was no show like Edd N Eddy on Cartoon Network or any of these kids stations
anywhere
at the time
ever.
And now we have so many copycats from around the world, all over. It created its own genre of comedy.
Yes, and it should be called EEE or Edd N Eddy. It should be, but it's not. But it's great when you can recognize it after having watched it.
Right.
So I want to talk about this because you brought that up. Antonucci was an adult cartoonist, and how this show ended up being created is that he was dared to create a children's cartoon. So while he was designing a commercial, he conceived Edd N Eddy, designing it to resemble classic cartoons from the 40s through the 70s.
Really? So, well, that explains part of Eddie.
Yes, and their clothing too. And where they live, everything, it made sense. So when he pitched the series to Nickelodeon, they said no.
Oh,
because they didn't want to give him creative control. And so then he pitched it to Cartoon Network, and they made a deal with the network to commission the series under his control, produced by him as well. And it concluded with the TV film we'll get to, Edd N Eddy's Big Picture Show.
Yes.
So we thought it was fascinating how you had the series and movies to go with this, and of course, as being a part of pop culture, we'll get into other media and things that it had. It was celebrated with awards, and it became one of Cartoon Network's most successful original series ever. Now, guys, when we always talk about original series, this is what we're talking about. If you happen to watch our Spider Noir podcast, we were saying that was an original series that had just given him his own name instead of trying to latch on to Ben or Peter. That would have been an original series.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. As you mentioned, there was nothing like it anywhere ever.
Yes.
And it has cemented its place in history as being historic and unique and just a, I guess, trailblazer for other people who were inspired by it.
For sure. And now that we finally have finally got to watch it, and really didn't know what to expect at all, because we hear how people love it, and sometimes there are times we disagree. And given how much of a legacy this has, we were just curious on how is this gonna be, because the show, as of watching it now, times this podcast, it's over 20 years old.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable. And we want to see, like, is this going to be dated? Is it going to be timeless? Is it going to be things we recognize, or what? It just didn't know what to expect. And like you said, the first thing, the intro was incredibly catchy with no lyrics for other than Edd N Eddy.
And having never seen it, still knew it.
Yes.
From even never watching it, you knew the theme. I know I did. And it took me a little bit to warm up to it. It took me to episode 3, and you know that happens sometimes.
Yes.
But by the time I got to episode 3, I got the vision, I understood the humor, and I started actually liking. Before I was like,
kind of like,
what the heck is wrong with these boys?
Everything's wrong with them.
But I got into the I guess the groove of it, like Cusco, by episode 3, and I was laughing, and everything began to be ridiculous and sublime, definitely inspiring regular show.
Yes, for sure.
Besides Beavis and Butthead, this definitely inspired it.
Yes, for sure. And the entire really kind of sort of premise of this, because there's no big story arc or darker tone it gets later. It stays weird and crazy the whole time.
It becomes more slapstick.
Yeah, that's about it.
Ridiculous.
That's about it. But they don't delve into a storyline like now, where it starts off being goofy comedy, and suddenly they decide, now it's a serialized storyline, and we change the entire thing. Yeah. I can say that doesn't happen here. Basically, what they do almost every day is that they come up with schemes to get quarters and money out of the kids at the cul-de-sac or the neighborhood.
What are we going to do today, Ferb? Definitely inspire Phineas and Ferb.
Yes. And it's funny you mentioned, I definitely got to get to this after I finish explaining this, is that the schemes they come up with, and they want to get the money from the kids in the neighborhood, and every day they come up with a new scheme, and these kids seem to fall for it every time. I don't know how, but they do. And they want to use that money either to be rich, as Eddie wants, or to go get jawbreakers. And they really are jawbreakers because the ones we have in the real world are just these little hard candies that you really have to just suck on and soften, or else they're really hard. But you get to Edd N Eddy, and they are so large, they're bigger than their heads, and somehow they're able to shove it in their mouths and just look like they got an infection or something on the side of their heads or a growth, and they just have that in their mouth, and that's the reward they get for doing all this. He said, how are their mouths holding this?
And I think it's so funny you said that because it was patterned between the 40s and the 70s. And I remember our Nana telling me many years ago that jawbreakers were bigger and they had layers. You would, as you ate it, they would change colors, and there were different flavors of candy that would come out as you sucked on them, and it would be like 6 to 7 different flavors.
Oh, you know,
so that must be what Tanucci was referencing for them to be that giant.
Yeah.
And that probably would last, what, a week?
Yeah. Because how long does it take for them to eat that? You never find out, because next thing you know, it's gone. So, but
now we get these little bitty,
mini
look like marbles, and there's nothing there, and there's not a change of colors and flavors.
Oh, most of the time they might go from sweet to sour, and that's it. It's real different now, or they call them gobstoppers now. But with this, I do like that it says mix between European and U.S. And I think that probably ended up working out in his favor, because until they had a scene where they were putting out some... Oh, Canadian. Okay. Until you had a scene that a few characters were putting on little crowns when it was the holiday special, you really didn't even realize, like, wait a minute, you don't see anything that relates to America in here. They don't show the flag or nothing. And you kind of wonder, where the heck are they? And I think it works because it could be like, it's universal. No matter where you are in the world, this is something you could see kids doing anywhere in the world. Well, not eating these giant jawbreakers, but the things they were doing, the slice of life, the weirdness, the hanging out in the neighborhood, all the other kids, getting into trouble. It's something any kid could be in any country around the world. And I think that really helped to the appeal. It wasn't specifically, oh, it's the American kids or the European kids or the Asian kids. It could be anybody doing this, and you could relate.
They even had Rolf.
Yeah, the foreigner.
Where they didn't specify where he was from, which reminded me of that 70s show.
Yeah.
Because they had the same thing there, and I know what they were inspired by now.
Yes.
They never told you where he was from.
No, never.
And he spoke like Rolf, and he looked like Rolf, and now I know they were referencing this show.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's actually funny. So, every episode, that is the premise. Cook a scheme. Trick the kids, get the money, get the candy. But like 90% of the 95% of the time, they don't really succeed.
No.
But somehow the kids keep falling for a lot of these scams. And they're not like little mini, like little jokes and stuff like you see, like they're tricks and obvious plots and stuff. They are elaborate, very elaborate scams. Like are running a car wash. They're running a place where it's like a theme park. Another where they're selling them an invention that can give them whatever they want. Another where they're going on a trip to space, a trip around the world. One where they can go to a fantasy land. One where they're at a high-end restaurant. And it's like, how on earth? You don't have any money, but you are somehow able to make and create these really elaborate schemes to go get the money from. And it's hilarious.
Yes.
Every single time. And you kind of start getting into it, like, are they going to fall for this or not? And then the things they come up with to be these makeshift objects like Kids Next Door did, you're almost just fascinated at what they're making every time and how they're going to fall for it.
And now that we know it was patterned between the 40s and the 70s, it makes sense with all the elaborate schemes, the type of play that they did, and make-believe, and again, how they were dressed. And all of it makes sense now. It was a more innocent time, and a time where imagination was in the forefront. And that is what this show delivered. And
Yes.
that's probably one reason kids absolutely loved it. Because they were, as you said, having the schemes, imagination, and also they would tear up everything, destroy houses, and by the next episode they were fixed.
Right.
So you had that element that was missing during the time. If you think about when this show originally came out,
Yes.
you didn't have those type of shows on.
That's
and you
true.
definitely don't have them now. We'll never have them again.
And that's why people are saying Edd N Eddy is like the last of its kind. Because
yes, definitely.
they don't either approve of shows like that anymore, or people don't make that anymore because they want them thinking an entirely different way.
So it's funny you brought that up, because over a 10-year run, Edd N Eddy became the longest running singular series to premiere on Cartoon Network until Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
And it's still the longest running singular Cartoon Network original series. It was broadcast on Teletoon in Canada, and it was it had a weekly audience of over 31 million households, and was broadcast in 120 countries.
Right. So that means they were really determined to make sure that people or kids watch this no matter what. Back when, when they cared about ratings.
Well, was that popular? I mean, it's like with a book. If it's popular, they translate it to another language.
Right.
And they did the same here, where they put it in all the other languages where people were watching them.
Yes.
Why would they not? It was popular. Give them what they want. And that's what, again, we're missing now.
Yeah.
Edd N Eddy gave people what they wanted. And it was slapstick, and it was comedy, and it was fun. And as now we know, it was set during a different time period, and that really resonated during that time.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's funny that it was replaced by Teen Titans Go, because it's also silly and comedy.
Yes.
But it's not the type of comedy that Edd N Eddy gave you. And it's kind of almost like Cartoon Network said, you know what? We want to move past Edd N Eddy. Put this on.
Yeah, and make it dumber. Make it dumber. Because, yes, they were really stupid, but the thing was, it was so cleverly written that the stupidity worked. And granted, there were some episodes that were not funny to us. And it weren't like half the series wasn't funny. It was just every now and then we had an episode that just seemed a little pointless. It was just there. It didn't have that same kick as some other ones.
Right.
But lots of shows do that. So it's not like, oh, that makes it less valuable. It's just like, okay, they had a few not good episodes for us here and there, but the good outweighed the bad.
And my favorite 2 seasons are 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I mean, just about every single one of them was hilarious and stupid and silly and creative, and you got to really learn and know all of the characters. I mean, Edd N Eddy were goofy and weird, but then you had the Kanker sisters.
Yeah.
You had Kevin that's supposed to be the bad boy.
And cool on his bike. Oh, God.
And then you had, what was the little nerd one with Plank?
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah, you had him. You had characters that you had never seen before anywhere.
Yeah.
And you'll never see again. No one has successfully translated this series, and they won't.
That's true. Nothing else is out there like it on Cartoon Network or any other network. So aside from the scam ones, every now and then they would have ones that had nothing to do with scams, and they'd be kind of getting a little silly, and you had lots of weird episode titles, but all of them always had the word Ed in there. So you knew you were watching Edd N Eddy. Like an Ed is born. Mirror, mirror on the Ed. Oh, the quest for an Ed. Quick shot Ed. Laugh Ed laugh. Dawn of the Eds. My fair Ed. Dim lit Ed. It was always some Ed with it.
And the thumbnails for these episodes are absolutely crazy looking.
Weird.
So throughout this podcast, you should be seeing some of them on screen and looking at how they were unique.
Yeah.
They don't look like any thumbnails I've ever seen for any other show.
That's true.
He really had this vision that, and I don't add us. It's kind of like when you think of George Lucas and other people, when they make these things that are unlike anything, that are so creative and so different and so unique that they stand the test of time. Never thought I'd be saying that about Edd N Eddy, but it does. We're watching it decades later, and we enjoyed it, and we found it hilarious, and it still looks different, even though people have copied it. The premise is crazy, especially taking place between the 40s and the 70s, and the voice actors were perfect. They all sounded like kids.
Yes, we're kids, but kids.
Yeah.
And like we said, there isn't really a big story here, just them doing the scams. And each and every scam end up sort of being actually unique. One episode where they had Ed trying to do a karate dojo, and he actually caught us off guard when he made it look like there was multiple versions of him surrounding Johnny. It's like, okay, how did he do that?
Naruto!
Yeah, and then we saw, oh, there's mirrors. I didn't even see the mirrors until they actually showed it. He actually pulled off a convincing one.
And that was in a Bruce Lee movie as well, so this, you knew Antonucci had watched these things.
Yes, and then there was one where Ed kind of pulled a Disney, where he had one supposed to be a shooting range type thing. And when one of them found out, okay, this is a scam, they're leaving. The next day, he did the same shooting range, but it was to hit a fish instead of a raccoon. Then they said, wait a minute, this is the same thing, isn't it? And then they left. Then the third time came back, and then he changed it from that to aliens. It's like, this is ridiculous. This is the same dang scheme. Come up with something else. And every day, he just kept plastering something else over the exact same setup, where he said it was a toilet land, fridge universe, fashion show, alien invasion, dairy farm. And it's like, they just stopped coming. It's like, can you just come up with something else? They just stopped falling for it.
And you mentioned that this is what they were trying to duplicate with Craig of the Creek.
Yes, when they had Craig Roll and they were poking fun at Disney World expanding and getting too large and everything. It's like, oh, wait a minute. This was Edd N Eddy, and they mentioned that in there. That influenced Craig of the Creek too. So it came from here, Eddie trying to keep filtering the same thing over and over and over and over, and they weren't even lying anymore. He predicted Disney.
Two real huge standout episodes for me, and I don't recall the names. I know it had Ed in it, that's it. One of them is where Ed had set up another scheme where you could buy a new butt if you didn't like the butt you had. And they had butts everywhere made out of buckets and balls and all sorts of things. And I remember I could not stop laughing. And these fools, these kids, were buying butts and putting them on. I thought that was just one of the most hilarious things in the world. And then another that you also love is where they kept waiting all day for Ed to scam them. Yeah, and they thought they were being scammed, especially Kevin. Yeah. He was looking everywhere for them.
And they were missing.
They didn't appear until the end because they found a monkey mask, and none of the three Eds were... Okay, glove, thank you. And none of the Eds had appeared because they couldn't find the glove. Well, the other kids found the glove, and that's why they couldn't find it. So they never came out that day to scam them. And they kept waiting for them to jump out somewhere. Yeah. They were checking trees and everything else.
Like, they're not scamming. Something's wrong here. They were just waiting. They're not going to guess this time. We know it's a scam. They're not falling for it. And then their greatest scam, they were never there to witness.
Yes. And those are two standouts for me that I thought were hilarious. If you know the name of those episodes, let us know in the comments.
Okay.
So it is easy to understand why it received widespread critical acclaim and became, again, one of Cartoon Network's most successful original series. And they don't make series like this anymore. Some of the critics compare them to the Three Stooges, saying they were the child equivalents of the Three Stooges.
That's the way to look at
it. And David Cornelius of DVD Talk said that the series revels in the sort of frantic, often gross humor kids love so much, and there's just enough oddball insanity at play to make adults giggle just as easily. I think that definitely sums it up because I couldn't help giggling.
Yeah.
And of course, not all the reception was positive. As we mentioned, your Nana's like, don't let her watch it, or she'll be doing stupid stuff. Some people considered every second of the show filler and said that the main characters were drawn as products from the school of acid trip caricature. He said between the 40s and 70s, so maybe so.
Oh man, you know, that's funny. They only had one release of filler, technically a clip show, and it was clips of stuff you had never seen. And then by the end, when Ed said, "Oh, I have one fond memory. I remember like it was earlier today, and then he was telling you the beginning of the episode again when they were talking about memories of the other stuff, and then Eddie hit him over the head. He's like, "Stop it! I hate clip shows."
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
But I also want to point out that they were nominated for quite a few awards during the time they ran. And they actually won a few. And they won the Reuben Award for Best TV Animation and Best Director in an Animated Production or Series from the Leo Awards. They won, I should tell you, that was 99 and 2000. And in 2005, they won a Leo Award for Best Musical Score of an Animation Program. And, you know, you did have music that was different. You didn't hear popular songs, nostalgia songs, anything. All the music was unique, like Johnny Test and others. And I love when they do that. And I love when the music sets you up for what's coming next in an episode. They did do that, and it was brilliant. And they also won their last year they were on in 2009, SOCHAB Awards, International TV Series Music Award. They won that.
Oh
yes.
My gosh. Okay.
So they were really well loved. And at times when critics did complain about them, they would get letters telling them you need to take a second look. You need to reconsider. And then sometimes the people will, you know, watch it actually and then give it a different review. Okay. But think about that. This silly, comedic, slapstick kids show. People writing letters saying, you need to take another look. Your review is incorrect. Think about that. Not some Shakespearean drama, not some highbrow or elitist show. It was Edd N Eddy.
Yeah, that's right. And
I said it like that on purpose.
Right. And we need to bring up two more things left. Is that they also had 3 holiday specials, and as you said, a TV movie that was the series finale.
And we'll get to those definitely shortly because we have to talk about each one briefly, quickly. Ones that were our favorites and one that weren't. It actually was also really successful in Canada. It was the longest running Canadian produced animated series.
Wow.
Still to this day.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Make more stuff like this then.
So for the original series itself, there were 6 seasons, and one season had 1 episode.
Yeah, season 6 only had 1 for some reason. I don't know why.
But they ran about 20 some episodes each season.
Oh, why? Oh, actually less than that, maybe 12 to 13. And one actually had a bonus episode when they wanted to do part of a cross promotion with the Cartoon Network Invaded, and they forcibly had them have an alien invasion type episode that didn't really fit with the rest of the lineup, but it's there. And you gotta include like to the holiday specials as well.
Yes. So the standout episodes that were fun. It became more slapstick as the series went on. It became more nonsensical as the series went on.
Yeah.
It became just a lot of things happening, including beating the crap out of each other.
A lot more than usual.
And one thing that really made us laugh is finally in the last season they went to school, because again, I kept saying Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah,
and finally summer ended.
Yes, and you were right.
And they went to school.
You were
but
right.
School consisted of only them.
Yes.
There were no other kids.
Yeah, and they keep telling you there's other kids, there's teachers, there's a principal. Parents are never seen, but they're there. And it's like Peanuts, you just don't see the adults, but they're there. And it's so weird because we thought, we're going to see more characters show up because we're at school. And we kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and it was still the same kids. It was still the Eds, still the neighborhood kids, still the Kanker sisters, no one else. And it's like, this is an empty school.
And they had one episode during that season that was absolutely hilarious and ridiculous at the same time, where Ed dressed as a girl to pretend he was a girl and a student from another school. And then you thought these fools had really fallen for it. But then they let him know toward the end. They always knew it was him. I thought that was hilarious.
They just let him do this.
Yes. And it's like, you should know there's no one else here but you. The only one missing was Ed.
Yes, pretty much. Hey, where is he? Don't ask.
So we absolutely enjoyed watching the original series itself. Again, my favorite seasons are 1 and 2. It got more slapstick and ridiculous toward the end, where absolutely nothing made any sense anymore. It sounds like they kept the entire cast, which we'll get to in a little bit, and which is really great because sometimes you have people leave, they quit, they want more money, they decide, like with Teen Titans Go, and they get rid of an actor for whatever, voice actor for whatever reason. But it seems like they didn't do that, and that's really great.
Yes.
So now let's get to the movies you mentioned. And we're going to save the big picture show to last. We don't know the order of when they originally aired because we just watched them how we wanted.
Yeah.
If you want to let us know the way they originally aired in the comments below, we'd appreciate it. But we're going to save Edd N Eddy's big picture show to last since it was the series finale.
Right.
The first one that we enjoyed the most, well, let's go from least to most. The one we enjoyed the least was Halloween Boo-Hoo.
Yeah, Boo-Ha-Ha.
Boo-Ha-Ha.
And it wasn't bad of a concept. It was just kind of weird. Ed had been marathoning horror movies, so when they were out on Halloween night, he was seeing monster vision. All the kids in costumes looked like actual monsters and creatures to him, and none of them ever knew what was wrong with him. It's like, well, it fried the last bit of his brain he had left. So yeah, something's wrong with him. What else wrong with him? And it was sort of weird. It was funny at parts, but it wasn't like the one that made us laugh the most.
Right.
It felt kind of off. The funniest part was Ed being tricked by his big brother, who has no name, his big brother, and I think he found Spookyville, and then when he thought he found it, it was just his house with cardboard in it. This is your house.
And he said, "Do we win a lottery or something?"
And it's like, what?
Like, oh, now you're going to appreciate your home.
Yeah.
So that was our least favorite of the movies. If it's your favorite, let us know why in the comments. Then number 2 for us came in the Valentine's
Yeah.
one.
There's a big hullabaloo.
And that one was hilarious because we got to see something we didn't know was a ship even in the series.
Right.
And it reminded us of The Simpsons because now we know where it came from, where Double D gave one of the Kanker sisters a card.
Yeah.
And if you ever seen The Simpsons, Lisa felt bad for Ralph because he didn't get a Valentine's Day card. And she gave him one that said, "I choose you."
Yes.
And this fool kept saying the whole episode. Well, Double D did the same thing here. He scratched out another name and put hers there and gave her a card.
Yes.
And she fell for him and he fell for her. Which
Yes.
Kanker sister was it?
The blonde one?
Yeah.
The name's not coming to me right now, but
If you know, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious.
And the whole episode, like, what the heck's going on here? They're not supposed to like her, and she was liking the wrong one on top of that.
And your favorite part is where one was somebody did get away from her man.
Yeah, she's taking your man. Because it's funny, it's crazy as this is. Kanker's obsessed with the S. They consider them their boyfriends, their future husbands, everything. And even though they're crazy as heck, you find out as it goes along with this in the movie, they actually are in love with them to the point they're not gonna let anybody harm them or anyone steal them or anyone make fun of them. And it's absolutely hilarious.
Yes. Now, our favorite out of the 3 extra movies was the holiday one, Jingle, Jingle, Jangle. The title alone, I kept repeating it because it was so funny. And then we understood why some of these movies and things came out with Jingle Jangle.
Yeah.
Including Riverdale.
Yeah, and naming a substance after, and it's like, they want you to take it seriously, but it's a joke. It's a Christmas-related joke, and you want to name it after that.
But this was the best one. We loved it from beginning to end. And Ed actually had a growth moment in this entire series.
Yes. It was absolutely hilarious. And the whole thing starts because he's upset he found out he got a bunch of clothes for Christmas. So he's going to start hijacking other people's houses, celebrate the holiday with them so that he can get their presents. And he keeps getting kicked out of each one. One of them he actually would succeed, but he was nervous around a girl he actually liked, and then he just messed it up for himself.
Yes.
And he was all alone by himself, and he did his one good deed and showed he, like you said, he had a heart.
He put the ornament back on the tree. That fell
like
off.
Charlie Brown.
Yes.
And they kept making references to other holiday movies. Was funny. It's like A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Now the best reference we love because it was absolutely hilarious. The Canker Sisters of all people were the three wise women, I guess, or three wise girls.
Women.
Right. And they were following the star. And we love the part where they said, "We got some francs and some cents." And they had some coins and some hot dogs. It was just cleverness the entire movie.
And mold. The guy said, "We brought you mold and then gold fur." It's like a fur coat. And she kept saying, "Oh, it's a sign." And the entire episode, they were just traveling in the snow. And you want to know, what are they doing? And the more you watch it, the more you're like, oh my gosh, it's the wise men.
It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. They kept making those references. That was the funniest thing ever I've ever seen in a movie like that, doing a reference to the three wise men.
Yes.
That's why it's our favorite, because it was just so clever. That is the cleverest of the three extra movies we saw.
Yes.
So then we'll get to the made-for-TV movie, Edd N Eddy's Big Picture Show.
Yes.
And it serves as the series finale, premiering in the U.S. November 8th of 2009, although it had completed production a year earlier.
Right.
And first aired in Scandinavia, Australia, and Southeast Asia first.
Wonder about why.
And so, of course, the plot focuses on the Ed searching for Eddie's brother, a character that was mentioned throughout the series, but you never actually saw.
Yes. Oh, my big brother's coming. My big brother, Eddie's big brother, who has no name.
And he shouldn't even exist because he turned out to be the biggest jerk there was.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I will say, well, the movie was kind of way different than we expected. The way it starts and the way it builds up is actually brilliant. Because it starts off with, looks like there's been a crime scene. And it's silent. And you see disaster has just plagued that neighborhood. And you don't know what happened, but you know, with some prank, some scam has gone horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. Whatever was so elaborate, it destroyed the neighborhood. And the kids were furious at them. It was so bad that they ran off and went to hide. And these kids were so pissed off that they were going to chase them across the state or the country to go get their behinds and beat them up because they had just messed with them too far. And the whole time they're looking for wherever Eddie's brother is, and they have to find some certain clues and stuff. And it's funny, they keep going to places that don't have any people there.
Yes.
And you have a few of the kids, well, actually all the kids, one by one, going to find them and looking for clues on where they are. They all have their own little moments and little comedic bits. I sometimes feel like it kind of drags a little bit. Mm-hmm. And other times it's fast-paced, it's funny. It kind of depends on the character they're focusing on.
True.
But it gets to the end, and they finally make it to where his brother lives. And for the first time, in the end of the series, you actually get to see not only his brother, but another character finally introduced in here at the very end. And you actually do get to see there are adults, and you get to see part of them in here, and they let you know there's a big city. They actually live in a big city, but no one's in it. There's adults everywhere, but you don't see them. And it's so brilliant. Like, yes, there are adults in here. There is a city. They actually live in a big city, and they keep living in the part that's quiet. And then you get to Eddie's brother, and everyone's actually there for it, and they're like kind of stunned. They're actually getting to see him. Mm-hmm. They're thinking he was lying all that time, and no, he's actually there. And you're thinking, oh, this will impress him because he says how cool he is. And then he sort of just...
Which reminded me of Ben 10 with... with Ben and Gwen going, how cool the brother was. And then when he showed up, and Kevin was like, this is your cool brother?
Yes.
And it was the same thing with him, except for instead of being helpful and fun and having what they thought was a cool car, he was a jerk.
Yes.
And mean.
Yes, very. And they thought, you thought Eddie was bad. His brother was way worse. And you found out he lied about how cool he was the entire series because he just wanted people to stop picking on him, respect him, and just stop messing with him. Mm-hmm. And at that moment when he was really beating the three of them up as for humor, the other kids actually got furious with him. You can't do that to our friend. And the Kanker sister and all were getting ready to just wail on him, but still a little afraid because he was doing all that. And it actually actually ended up being a payoff because you actually got to see they were their friends.
Yes.
They were ready to. Went from being angry at them and chasing them to defending them at the very end of the series.
And one of the craziest endings, you saw the Kanker sisters drag his brother into his house.
Yeah, to do
and close the door, and you never know what happened.
And when they found out that they were, the other kids were going to beat them up, they said, no one can beat up our boyfriends but us. And they actually were serious on defending them because they were trying to save them by the end to look for them too. And they were ready to defend them at the end too because they were furious when he was beating them. And he said, what are you doing to my man? And at the very end, they said, oh, let's go home and get some jawbreakers. And as they finally got what they wanted at the end, and Double D says, first Eddie says, oh, we're finally loved by the neighborhood.
Yes.
And then Double D said, it only took 103 episodes, 3 specials, and a movie for it to happen. And at the end.
Brilliant way to end the series. Brilliant. We loved it. So this was a great experience. Want to mention that they made appearances in other series and works besides the crossover. Besides their own series, as I mentioned, they appeared in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends episode Eddie Monster.
Yeah, so in the same universe.
And were drawn using the series style of animation. And then they also had a short cameo in The Grim Adventures of the KND.
Yes, they did. That's a joke.
A crossover of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Codenamed Kids Next Door.
Yes, I actually do remember that part.
They also appeared on a small crossover poster during its credits entitled Edd, Edd and Mandy.
Yes.
And in 2012, Double D made an appearance in the animated sketch comedy Cartoon Network Mad episode Once Upon a Tune.
Yes, I do remember that.
Plank appeared in Robot Chicken episode.
Oh yeah, Plank was the icon.
And what I want to mention is when they had the Cartoon Network bumpers, and you saw that Ed went out with Daphne.
Yes, at one point.
And you were explaining to me what this meant.
Yeah, I was just like, I think there's a lot of jokes in here that we can't say on here, but the fact they got away with that on a commercial on Cartoon Network was just like way ahead of its time.
Yes. They appeared in 2002. They had a fictional awards program on Cartoon Network called the First 13th Annual Fancy Anvil Awards Show Program Special Live in Stereo. That's the total name.
Yes.
And they also appeared in 2004. The Eds were in a short series of basketball commercials with the NBA All-Star Steve Francis. And they also appeared on rapper J.I.D.'s debut album, The Never Story. And it's titled Edd N Eddy. And in the song, he declares the antics of him and 2 of his friends are similar to the scams of Edd N Eddy.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's crazy how much impact they had on pop culture. Now, besides the films, they also had quite a few things that came out on DVD. Quickly, you had Edifying Adventures that contained 6 segments. You had Fool's Parrot Ed Dice that contained 6 segments. You had the complete first season and second season. And then you didn't get a 3rd, 4th, 5th. You have the complete series that was released in October of 2022.
Yeah,
containing
when they started doing that.
Containing all episodes from 1 through 6, but it does not include the holiday specials or Edd N Eddy's Big Picture Show.
Then it's not the complete series.
Thank you. It does include features from the complete first season and this complete second season. So yeah, I agree with you. That doesn't make any sense. They appeared in DC Comics Cartoon Network Block Party. That's the one with the bumpers you said.
Yeah.
They also appeared in comic books along with other Cartoon Network series. They had shorts in which the Eds were shown during commercial breaks. They appeared in 4 video games based on the series.
Yes, they actually did have video games. I do remember.
Edd N Eddy Jawbreakers, Edd N Eddy The Misadventures, which actually came out for mobile phones. Edd N Eddy Scam of the Century, which came out on Nintendo DS. And Edd N Eddy Giant Jawbreakers, which was different from the first one.
Okay.
And that one was released for mobile phones as well. Characters and locations from the show appear in other Cartoon Network video games, including 2003's Block Party and Speedway. And all three main characters and the Kanker sisters appear as non-playable nano characters in the massively multiplayer online game Cartoon Network Universe Fusion Ball. Now you have a game they used to play where they did the race. Did they appear in that game?
I don't think so. It was Cartoon Network Racing. I do remember that, but I don't think they had put them in the game at the time. They had some 90s cartoons in there, but they did not put the Eds in. Maybe they were saving that for another one.
That's too bad because
that actually was fun to have them in there.
Yes, and since at that time we really didn't know anything about them. Interesting, they did that. You saw a picture of Antonucci at the beginning, and Antonucci to me looks like Ed.
Oh, really? Oh, my gosh.
So that's why he's the scamster and he's the leader.
Oh, my God.
Antonucci looks like he referenced himself through Ed.
Yeah.
Self-insert.
Yes.
So, bottom line is, it was a great experience. It was a great watch. It's a heck of a lot of fun. For me, season 1 and 2 are the best. Do you have a favorite season?
Yeah, I think it would be probably season 2, because after you got adjusted to them, they started getting more and more crazy with the scams, and you kind of were just fascinated by what they were doing.
Yes. And there's too many favorite episodes to mention, but you've seen a lot of thumbnails come up for great episodes and not so great. If any of them are your favorites, let us know. And if we didn't have any of the thumbnails up for some of your favorites, tell us what they are in the comments. So last but not least, we get to the voice cast. Ed was voiced by Matt Hill. Double D was voiced by Sam Vincent. And Eddie was voiced by Tony Sampson, respectively.
Okay.
Other voice actors included David Paul Grove, Kathleen Barr, Peter Kalamis, Aaron Fitzgerald, Janice Jowd, Keenan Christensen, Jen Forgy, and Tabitha St. Germain.
Oh my gosh. And they stayed there the entire series.
Yes, which again, we think is something that's absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
So we've talked your ears off and our mouths off for Edd N Eddy.
Yes.
So you've seen it, whether it's later as we did, or originally when it was airing, during your childhood or whenever, let us know in the comments. Again, what are your favorite episodes, your favorite season? Who's your favorite Ed? Do you have any favorite Kanker sisters? Tell us everything. We really want to hear and know. If you haven't seen it, thank you so much, Tubi. It's available on Tubi to stream for free.
For free.
Get over there and watch this series. You've never seen it. You are going to laugh and you're going to have so much joy and fun. And now that you know it takes place between the 40s and the 70s, that's why there's an innocence to this series that works for it. Then come back and tell us what you think.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, big reviews for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Yes, so my final question is, did you have a favorite Ed?
Oh, I thought you were talking about to the audience.
Well,
I think it's hard to have one. The whole trio works too well.
For me, of course, it's going to be Double D because it's Sam Vincent.
Yeah,
and I couldn't believe it was him. It didn't sound like him at all. It was a brilliant voice for a character that he chose.
Yeah, especially all the big words he used every day.
So that's why it's my favorite, because it's Sam Vincent.
Okay.
So, but yes, as a group, they're a package deal. But if I have to choose one favorite, it's going to be Double D because it's Sam Vincent.
Yes.
And with that, thank you so much for joining us for this special podcast ending June for us this year.
Yes.
As always, you are special. Feel free to share this. If you know people that love the series and they want to see a coverage of it because they miss it, let them know about it. Share with them as well.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.